Okay, good morning and welcome to the Chicago State University video series highlighting Chicago State faculty who participated this past summer in the Gardner Institute on High Impact Online Teaching Practices, where we are sharing experiences from about 12 of those faculty members and their experiences applying some of the things they learned to their classes this fall. And with us today is Dr. Carol Jacobs. And Dr. Jacobs, we are delighted that you're here. Thank you so much for being part of this video series. If you could share a little bit with our viewers what you do for Chicago State.
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm a biology professor, and I teach and coordinate the secondary biology program. That's for future science teachers. And so I also am a plant biologist, plant pathologist, actually, by training. And so I've been teaching botany. And so that's what I'll be talking about today, some things I did in that botany class.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, we're looking forward to that. But before we get to the specifics, can you tell us why did you even think about participating in this Gardner Institute?
Well, I'm like most faculty that, you can always improve. And I have been teaching hybrid classes, and in the sciences, what that means, of course, is that they're on campus. Students come on campus sometimes, and then they're off campus sometimes. And so I really have been striving to still have rich learning experiences or for the students, and maybe that sense of community. And it's been really tough with COVID, and I thought the Gardner Institute program would really give some better ideas, some additional ideas, new ideas, just to help improve my own teaching for our students.
Yes, yes. So many teachers across this country had to turn on a dime last spring. And so yeah, this opportunity certainly came in at the right time, for sure.
Right. Yes.
And what would you say are some of the big takeaways that you walked away from that training with?
Oh, I think partly just sort of focusing on trying to help the students feel that they're part of a community and you care about them. I think that was really important. And I think with our students in particular, so many of them, they're working parents, they have really full, oftentimes stressful lives, especially during COVID. And just trying to do some extra outreach to let them know that you're here in some way, and that when they come to the virtual classroom, I thought about trying to help them kind of forget about other things and trying to focus on plants and botany. So.
So that actually, yeah, on the surface, it's not even a high impact online teaching practice, but in a way, it really is. The community, the sense of community in that virtual environment is what you're talking about, right?
Right. And so some of the things I did, well, we can go on that, but so using discussion forums and giving them a chance to speak to one another, peer-to-peer kind of comments, and then a second high impact practice that I think was so important is just having a really well organized virtual classroom space. And so the students knew where they were, what was expected. And, it wasn't perfect. I did my best, but I could improve. But I took away some ideas about, just having uniform design elements in each little section. And then, as I said, doing some sort of what I thought would be engaging kind of community building activities.
Mm-hmm.
As going to virtual field trips and then coming back and talking about them. So they got a chance to really feel like they were out in nature and looking at plants.
Fantastic. And yeah, in that virtual world, that sense of community is so important. And I know for many of our students, they hadn't taken online or even hybrid classes before, right? And now they're in this completely remote environment. So yeah, there's different considerations for that, for sure. So good. All right. Well, do you want to talk about some of the specifics then? Some of the high impact practices you thought were particularly appropriate to your classes?
Sure. I'll highlight a couple of things that I did, and I'll show you my course page and those particular assignments, and some ways that I changed what I would have done in face-to-face,
Good.
and that I think that it worked fairly well, and maybe it will be useful. So let me go ahead and get out of this, and I can share my screen, I think, right?
Yes, that'd be great.
Okay, so let me do that first. And I guess I have to go back up for a moment. Okay, share my screen. Okay, and so this is let me move this. This is my course webpage, and so I did try to let them know from the start who I was. That came from, Gardner. And by the way, I used the course template that our CTRE, Rochelle Johnson, developed and that we all have access to. And so these blocks are already present. And so I put in our texts and so on. So I'll just sort of show you how I tried to make it uniform. And so that was one of the practices. And so you'll notice that I have a lot in each section, and some faculty like doing the folders. I just found it easier to stick with the week by week section. And I started out pretty ambitious with a topic and assignments. And then I had these labels: weekly lectures, recordings, resources, assignments, and submissions. And after a couple weeks, I dropped this part because it was I had to change this a lot, and it was a little bit more than I could handle with my other classes. And I started to just copy paste in sections of my syllabus calendar. Yeah, so it basically tells you week 2, the students knew, okay, they're going to have a quiz this week. This is what they need to read, and these are the activities we'll be focusing on. And then I kept those same labels. So if you go down through my course, you'll see I would copy paste this in. And if faculty aren't sure how to do that, you basically, I have right now in the instructor view with editing on, you can go edit week like this. And when you do that, I basically went to my syllabus and copied this section of the calendar and just pasted it in. And there you go, right? You can change the name, week 3. You can, this is the custom format. And you have to save your changes.
What a great way to integrate your syllabus all throughout the course website instead of just having it as a document at the top.
Right, which it is. It's right here. And it's a lot in it, but I won't talk about that right now. So one of the things I mentioned was the virtual field trip. And let me see if I can find that. I worked a lot with, this is my page, so the students wouldn't see things that are hidden. But I do, it could be pretty crowded. So sometimes I would just hide things just because we were done with them. I did find if I hid the whole week, then things disappeared from the grade book that were assignments that were, developed for that week. And I don't know how to fix that, but that is a little quirk. So I couldn't, hide this week as we went on. But let me see. So I think, here we go. So this week, so we're in week 5. I had them actually go. So we did the lecture for a while. I used Big Blue Button, and then I would post my, PowerPoint slides as PDFs. Sometimes I would include videos. This was a game saver just for attention and engagement, just videos of these things. And right. And then I started wanting them to feel like they were getting out. And so I'm just going to share something very quickly that I had students do. I think you can see this, right, Deb?
When you
Not at the moment, no.
it feels like you transported out.
You might need new share.
Okay, let me do the stop share and then I'll share again. And so I spent time to look for sort of engaging activities. And so one of these was, okay, the Garfield Park Conservatory
Now we can see it.
has virtual field trips.
Oh,
okay?
how fantastic.
And so they went, and it's short. So
The noise goes away a little bit. The smells are completely different. It smells like you're out in a forest. You're just transported. The doors, once you open them up, you get a rush of humidity to your face. You feel the warmth. Immediately, you see ahead of you this long view surrounded by nature. If you look to your left, to your right, you see palms going all the way up to the 65-foot ceiling.
okay,
Whether it's palms all the way up to the
let me stop that.
Everything is just
How
full.
cool is that, though? Who would think about virtual field trips to the conservatory during a pandemic? That's fantastic.
Well, yeah, and they loved it because it's in Chicago, and let me get out of the screen share here, and I'll just show you go back to my course page, wherever it is. Okay, I know it must be here. Is this it? Okay.
We're back at the conservatory.
Yeah, I'm trying to get out of this now. And I guess we're going to have to splice. Okay, Deb. Let me stop the share and see if I can go back and do to my course webpage. Here it is. Okay, so now I'll do the screen share again and then show you the discussion forum I had them come back and do. So here we go. So here's the share the screen. Okay, so we're back at the webpage, right?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so, we lectured for a bit, or I did, and then we took a break and had them go, I'd give an ample break. This was a 3-hour class meeting, which is crazy for online. So I would have them go, they went here, and then I posted a discussion forum, which is something that we talked a lot about, trying to make them engaging.
Mm-hmm.
So what I asked them to do, I don't know if we had done maybe one before, but after taking the trip, post your thoughts and feelings, and then read and post to another student. So this is pretty routine.
Mm-hmm.
And then I gave just points for doing that and kind of gave them, the class was in the evening, but I wanted them to do it before the next day. I sort of wanted an immediate thoughts about it. And so just looking at a few, I will just, I don't know, I'll just pull up one person's and this one, and you can see just an example of the kind of posts. And then I realized that this was a good thing. So I actually enjoyed it. Since COVID, I've been looking for a place to escape and obtain peace of mind. I'm not so intrigued with nature, but the conservatory caught my eye. The description made me interested, and so on, right?
Oh, beautiful. Just what you were looking for.
It was what I was looking for. And then another student responded, I actually look forward to it also. I love to see the plants and trees in person. And I started thinking about this class a lot, like, wow, this is so important for them to connect them with plants, since we can't do it every day in lab. And let me go back here. So I ended up developing a semester project based around the research that's been done about the importance of connecting students with nature and plants. And so I didn't intend on doing that, but that's what I ended up doing.
It evolved from that experience of the field trips.
It did. I had I had another idea in mind where they would be doing their own plant identification. And it was, that's all it was going to be. And I did build off of that, but I changed it so that part of it was reading some research articles about how people of all demographics and ages actually benefit psychologically and emotional social well-being through up to, at least 120 minutes in nature each week. And so that is, I know time's flying. So I feel like that was one activity I ended up doing that helped them feel this is relevant to them, now. And then also it ended up building community because a number of the students presented to each other just last night, actually. And they showed themselves during these experiences. They also had to identify plants, so they had to use some of the classification tools out there. That ended up being I think a pretty successful endeavor. So I'll try to do it again. And if you like, I can show you the assignment and the things I did and how
I think we have time for that. I think that would be very beneficial.
Oh, okay. So I will go ahead and do another share. Let me open up this. And this is the actual assignment. So you're looking at this now, right?
Yes.
Okay, and I can make it bigger. And I asked them, do you, it's going to be due by the end of the semester, but I wanted them to tell me, do you want me to chunk it up so you have deadlines throughout? And we did a poll in Big Blue Button, and basically the majority wanted me to create some deadlines. And so we broke it up into, 3 deadlines. You can see I extended some of this. Part 1, there's another deadline, part 2, let's see, where's that? November 16th. And then the last one was due just this Monday. And then essentially the project ended up being reading the academic scholarly articles about an overview of our understanding on the value and health benefits of incorporating nature. And so they had to read these and prepare a summary and then do research on what's going on in Chicago and prepare a description. And then they had to actually give themselves exposure to at least 2 hours. One of the articles talked about that being a threshold level. And asked them to visit different green spaces, and including, it could be conservatories, parks, forest preserves, etc. And they had to write a reflection on this. And then during their exposure, they had to actually choose 10 plants to take pictures of and identify using some software that's available online, freeware like iNaturalist and other tools. And we, through the semester, had experience or worked with a little bit of this. And so then I just gave them ideas for places to go if they didn't have any, and then so on. And so the other thing that was really important was this part about, I asked them to film themselves so I knew they were actually going out. And I ended up having to use my Google Drive for that because Moodle has a file limit. And let me stop the share. And so, and some of the pictures that the students were taking were hike images, HEIC. That's what I learned, I didn't know about, but you can't open them in Moodle, in Big Blue Button. And so it's not like you have a JPEG or something. And so but our Google Drive, you can open them. And so I'll just show you really quickly, and maybe we will run out of time, but in Google Drive, I just set up let me share the screen again. Where is my Google Drive? Okay. Let me go here. I'll get rid of that. Okay, here it is. So let me share that. Okay, I think I don't know. Oh, I have to make it. Okay. All right, so let's share the screen, and then here it is right here. Okay. Okay, so finally. So here's my Google Drive that we all have. And so what I ended up doing, if you don't know this, you're in your G Suite and you press these buttons and then you get to your drive this way through the drive. And once you're at the drive, you can create your own folders. And so I ended up creating a botany semester project video upload folder. And so when I opened it and I created a link then to this folder, I just copied and pasted it into my Moodle page and said, this is the link. I'm inviting you to, I shared it with all the students.
Mhm.
And then I asked them to create their own subfolder, right?
Mhm.
And so their subfolders, I did this so that I wouldn't have any issues with them not being able to upload things, and their short videos were a problem. And, I've been working in Drive for a while, but I am not by any means an expert, but I am going to keep using this.
Yes, great. And thank you for demonstrating how you can make a Google Drive folder accessible to students and have it embedded in Moodle as well. So that's very helpful. Thank you.
Right, you're welcome. And then I'll just open up. So I, then this is what the students uploaded. So each of them have a little, in this case, I'll listen for a second. They were all different.
Hello, class. This is my semester project, and right now I'm at the Grove. It's out here in Glenview, Illinois.
Okay.
Beautiful. Oh, how cool is that? Yes.
It just turned out to be easy for me and really great for the students. And they focused in on, some just did one video and some videoed several plants, like this student.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't know them, but they learned them. They had to identify them later.
Yes, yes. What a project that really epitomizes engagement, involvement, putting yourself into the project.
Okay, well that's it. So I hope people do know how to share then when you create these files. So the botany, you can basically share here.
Mm-hmm.
And click share. I just copy pasted all my students' emails in.
Yeah.
Then and then I gave them the link and I put it on Moodle too, so that they could get here. And
how interesting that this project actually kind of evolved from some of the earlier experiences in the semester where you took them on those virtual field trips.
I just started feeling for this semester in particular, they were stuck at, behind their computers.
Right.
And then last night, I used Zoom and made them co-host, and I ended up, a lot of them wanted an extra credit. I said, okay, well, if you want to take the project and make it into a, presentation for extra credit, you can do that. So about half the students did it, and we watched them last night, and I feel like that was a really good thing. Maybe in the future, I would definitely incorporate the presentations as part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like they had so much to do and they were having a hard time just keeping track of everything. So project, I had a number of them comment that they really appreciated it in the end. And did they identify all the plants correctly? No. Did they do some reflections, and are they now aware of some of the research about the importance of plants in nature? Yes, they are. So where it was.
So double question here then, although you kind of partially answered it. Yeah, how did the students feel about these high impact practices that you were implementing? And did you see any difference in the quality of work or the level of engagement or interaction?
So when we were doing the presentations last night, I felt, because I was looking at all these great videos they were uploading and reading their reflections, but the other students weren't. And so I felt like that was an important way that everybody could see and build community and see, oh, they went to Dan Ryan Woods and so did I. And so I don't know that they even know it was a high impact practice, right? Of sort of the engagement and having peer-to-peer interactions. I know that everybody stayed and watched everyone's presentations. It was late at night and they had really nice comments in the chats. And so I feel like that was a success this semester. Many things were not that successful, but I feel like that was one that was pretty successful.
Yes. And did you
What was
feel
your other question?
quality of work? Did you see a similar quality of work? Any change in the quality of work from previous semesters?
So that's tough. So I have quizzes online. I have, the 4 exams. And in those things, in the quizzing and the exams, I would say I didn't see any changes, but this project and this sort of reinforces the high impact practice of having different types of assessments. And this is more a performance-based assessment.
Yes.
And they did beautifully. And I just thought, wow, if I didn't have this was worth more than one exam. Pretty detailed, and you can see the time that it took to go in there. And again, they were so creative, and then they reflected really personally about it. And I felt like they really shined, and I wouldn't have seen that if I didn't have that project.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. How powerful is that, right? How powerful is that? And that experience is going to stick with them for a lifetime versus remembering something they did on a quiz, right?
Well, to me, I said that, I think, to my husband, I'm like, okay, if nothing else this semester, they did this, and I think they'll remember this.
Yeah. And even in the couple of comments that we saw on the discussion board, they couldn't wait to get to the conservatory to see those plants and to have that experience. So generating that awareness and interest and maybe even passion for nature is the whole point, right?
Well, that's right. Because I think, botany could traditionally be taught in a very dry way, which is terrible. But it can be. There's so much terminology and you can get really bogged down on things. So trying to integrate, I was trying to do this anyway when I took over, but this made me realize even more, different ways and what's really important is, I don't know if any of my students will be botanists, the likelihood is very small, but they will know more about plants and maybe they'll carry with them this idea. They certainly said they would. They certainly said it made them realize they need to get out and they want to get out, especially things are nicer in spring. So.
Yeah, and what a perfect project to align with the research that you pointed out too about the social emotional benefits of being in nature. What a perfect project for this moment in time.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So as we wrap it up, do you have any suggestions for colleagues who are interested in becoming a little bit more conversant on the high impact practices and improving their own remote learning classes? Any suggestions or recommendations for colleagues?
So I would take because so one thing I have been doing for some years is this sort of student conferences after the midterm where I would meet face to face with them and I would have them sign up. And so I just found a way to do that online. And so if you're doing things that are, are helpful and working, just give it a try. I just, set up I don't know, there's certainly a better way, but I set up a discussion forum and I asked them to pick a time. And then I sent them a link. I was using GoToMeetings and then we would meet for, 15 minutes. And I could show you something else if you'd like, but I would do an analysis so that they could see what points were left. And then those little conferences ended up being a really good connection. They would often tell me, I'm working. And so this is like, I can't, get to this. Can I do some optional points? And I built in optional points, or I built in some extra, okay, if you need some additional points, you missed something. I had a few of those assignments as well. And I guess just to the colleagues, I know we're all trying to do our best and just take those things you would do face to face and find a way that work and just kind of dive in and try some things. And, yeah.
Yes, well, certainly watching videos like this and seeing how people are putting into practice some of these ideas can be extremely helpful. And I know you and your colleagues put together a Slack resource for folks to check out as well. So we'll make sure that we have some instructions for how people can access that Slack app, where you all have housed a number of very helpful resources for those of us that weren't able to be there for the Gardner Institute.
Yeah, and it was really great. I'd love maybe annually we could do just a Chicago State sort of, mini Gardner or something, because it was really nice to be in groups like that talking. I know in biology, we've had in our seminar series, we've tried to do, some teaching seminars where we share things like we're doing now. And, then that gets lost as everybody gets busy, but having sort of an ongoing discussion, I think so important. So thanks so much for doing this.
All right, well, thank you for doing this as well. We really appreciate your time, your expertise, and your leadership on our University Distance Education Committee as well. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome.